Hello everyone, welcome to Kosei Fitness. This channel is dedicated to help you burn fat and build lean muscles as well. We bring you highly intense workout every week that you can follow along. Kindly subscribe to this channel and be part of this lovely community. I'm pretty sure you're aware of the idea that, in the end, calories in versus calories out determine how much weight you can lose. No matter what or when you eat, as long as you're eating at a caloric deficit and preferably getting adequate protein as well, you will successfully lose weight and burn fat. Scientifically speaking, this is correct. It is the fundamental law of thermodynamics, but this oversimplified model ignores how the different foods you eat affect these two variables in practice. According to research, although daily calories are ultimately what matter most, if you want to lose fat effectively and quickly, you also need to pay close attention to the kinds of foods that make up the calories you consume each day, as well as how you consume them, because that's what makes all the difference in this video. In this video, I'll go through 3 dietary changes you should make to take these factors into account and speed up your fat loss. I'll also provide you a sample meal plan that ties everything together. The first change you should make to your diet is to stick primarily to minimally processed foods. In contrast to their refined competitors such as cereal and white bread, which have been depleted of the majority of their essential nutrients and fiber, consider foods like oats and multi-grain bread. In addition to generally providing more nutrients and keeping us fuller for longer, these less processed foods have an additional benefit that has to do with something called the thermic effect of food, which is the number of calories that our body expends to metabolize and actually use the food that we eat. Our body often burns much more calories when digesting unprocessed foods than it does when compared to their processed equivalents, which is one of the special benefits of unprocessed foods for fat reduction. For instance, one study compared the caloric burn needed to digest and metabolize 2 sandwiches with low processing, made with whole grain bread and genuine cheddar cheese, with 2 sandwiches with extensive processing, made with white bread and processed cheese. Although the overall calories and protein in both meals were nearly identical, the more processed sandwich had a 50 lower thermic impact, which causes the body to use a lot more calories digesting it than it did with the whole grain sandwiches. Similar to this, participants in a 6-week randomized controlled experiment were randomly assigned to consume a diet high in less processed whole grains, such as oats, brown rice, and whole grain bread, or a diet high in more processed refined grains, such as cereal, white rice, and white bread. What they discovered was that, compared to the processed food group, the group that kept to whole grain meals burnt, on average, about 100 more calories per day just by digesting and metabolizing their food. To put this into perspective, considering that the average individual burns about 100 calories while running a mile, choosing to incorporate whole grain, less processed foods for the majority of your meals would practically be the equal of jogging an additional mile a day. Conceivably, by making that single modification, you could theoretically burn 2.5 pounds extra fat over the course of 3 months. So yes, wild calories are what matter most. However, even though you will burn fat even if you eat processed foods, as long as you are still in a calorie deficit, you can further influence the calories outside of the equation and possibly speed up the fat loss process by simply substituting these foods for whole grain, less processed foods and letting them do the work for you. Let's then explore how you go about spacing out your meals throughout the day. Yes, your daily caloric intake does matter the most for fat reduction, but it turns out that how you distribute those calories throughout the day may matter more than we first thought. A recent 2020 paper and a 2015 paper with a similar design that evaluated the results of utilizing a more front-heavy distribution method by allocating more calories to breakfast versus a rear-heavy approach by allocating more calories to dinner as an alternative serve as examples. The patients who used the front-heavy method had much lower levels of hunger and sweet cravings throughout the day, as well as higher levels of overall energy, according to the research. Because of their higher energy levels, individuals were able to stick to the diet with less difficulty, and they probably burned more calories throughout the day by fidgeting, walking, and generally moving more. In fact, this protocol was used again in a 12-week longitudinal weight loss study, where it was discovered that by simply switching the calories from breakfast and dinner, subjects using a front-heavy approach lost more weight, saw a greater reduction in their waist circumference, and reported better hunger control. Allocating extra calories to your meals early in the day does seem to have some indirect fat reduction effects, and I personally saw this as well. Because I was aware that my desires would peak in the evening, I used to conserve a large portion of my dinner's calories. But when I tried shifting more and more calories to breakfast, which is early in the day, I discovered that not only did my energy levels throughout the day and my gym performance significantly improve, but I also noticed that I wasn't as hungry at night, which reduced my nighttime cravings. Even if you're intermittent fasting, for instance, I would strongly advise you to at least try shifting more and more of your calories to your first meals of the day, as this does seem to have some special advantages in terms of enabling you to control your cravings, to burn more calories, and possibly produce greater fat loss results in the long run. This may vary for the individual and may depend on when your workout takes place. The final change is to choose foods that are not only mostly unprocessed but also extremely satiating and have a track record of being the most effective at squelching appetite. This will make it easier for you to stick to your diet and reduce any excessive snacking that you might be engaging in during the day and jeopardizing your calorie deficit. According to the results of the Satiety Index, which studied the impact of 38 different typical foods on hunger levels, certain selections are simply better than others for regulating your appetite on a calorie-for-calorie basis. For instance, even with calories equal to 4, simply switching from whole grain bread to oats will have a 25 higher impact on squelching your appetite. Similar to brown rice, switching to whole grain pasta or cooked potatoes will increase satiation by 30 or 60%, respectively. I therefore advise you to review the index and try incorporating some of these more satiating foods into your diet to see how your body and hunger react. Now, let's go through an example meal plan that not only integrates these many recommendations for you but also tastes wonderful in order to put everything together for you. I'll use about 100 calories for this meal plan, but keep in mind that your portion sizes should be adjusted based on how many calories you need to be in a calorie deficit, as this will differ for everyone. The majority of the calories will be used for protein pancakes for breakfast, which are created entirely from highly satiating minimally processed foods. For these, you need first combine the oats to create an oat flour before adding the remaining ingredients. Then, just fry them over a skillet and top them with whatever you like: peanut butter, sugar-free syrup, sautéed apples, etc. We'll stick to filling whole foods for lunch, including baked salmon, boiled potatoes, and a side of sautéed asparagus, while slightly reducing the calorie intake. Depending on when your workout is, you could have a protein shake along with a fruit to keep you going till dinner. Dinner will consist of baked chicken breasts and a side of vegetables that have been roasted in olive oil to further reduce the calorie intake. After supper, we'll make a quick, high-protein Greek yogurt parfait using 0% fat plain Greek yogurt, cinnamon, and stevia for sweetness, and top it with frozen mixed berries and a tablespoon of chia seeds to help fulfill any sweet cravings that may have surfaced. Very simple to build, but very fulfilling. In light of what I experienced, I hope that this meal plan will help you start meal planning in a way that keeps everything good and gratifying. Just keep in mind that while some of the substitutions I've listed here will hasten the fat loss process, maintaining a calorie deficit is ultimately what's most crucial. Try out different diets and stick to what you find to be the most effective for you and your way of living. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to leave a comment below letting me know what you'd like to see me cover next. Also, subscribe to this channel to show your support. This all really helps me out, so please subscribe and enable notifications for the channel as well. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all soon.